Hey, welcome to the Kurre and Klapow show here on Tony Kurre Radio. Are you in? There you go. Man, your black shirt, you're kind of blending in there.
I know.
Here.
I feel like it's very dark in your man cave here. Is it?
Not really.
No, you enjoy it that way? It's a little morose?
No, man, it makes us look
morbid?
tanner. Makes us look tanner.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, we could turn some lights on
Yeah,
and go pasty white if you want.
Yeah.
How you doing,
I
man?
see, I'm good. Oh, look at that. You got that one right there. Are we gonna
I do.
Is this going to be a top 95 show?
No, this is we've been talking the last couple of days. I mean, we talk every day, and it is going to be.
Look at that. You got all kinds of stuff going on.
I know,
there.
man. We got
late
people
breaking
texting
news.
things going on. That's interesting. I just got a text from my good friend Dusty Rivers,
Yes.
who of course works with Adaptogent, which
Right.
is one of our great shows, Adaptive Parish, which goes on Tuesdays that you co-host.
And we're
with Dr.
taping
Alex
another.
Woodline.
We're doing another one live this.
We are. There's a big announcement coming up on June 1st.
Yeah. Shh. Shh.
I know what it is.
I
It's
know what
pretty
it is.
amazing, and it's perfect for the Adaptive Parish program that we run here on Tony Kurre Radio. At
Yes.
midnight. Of course, you go to Spotify and listen to that show as well. And so we're going to get an entire episode out of this big announcement. We're going to record that tomorrow, and we'll let you know what that announcement is. It's not, well,
Yes, it's.
really it's about adaptation as we know it, because a lot of things have changed over the last few years. So we'll have that big announcement
Last
coming up here a
few
little bit later
decades.
on next week.
Several
Of course, we did Live Wire Wednesday last night, thanks to Southern Precision Staffing.
Yes.
205-682-2828. Fantastic show last night. Mission Minded. Blues Almighty later on tonight, an encore presentation going off at noon and 8. Damon Johnson, of course, is back in the row with Brother Kane. They're doing select shows through this year. They're going full board in 2023.
Yes.
And he's got a show on Fridays. When in Rome with Stuart Rome. It's a
Yes.
fantastic show. We got that show going on. So a ton of shows. Go to Spotify. Search Tony Kurre Radio. That's Kurre with a K. Kurre. And you can see, I went through it last night. It looks so flipping good, dude. The graphics look great.
I know.
Thanks to David Sears and James Michael Keats, who put all of our shows together. They just do a killer job, and it looks so great. And we will have a brand new show that we should be unveiling next week that I'm going to close a deal on today. And then I got another show that I'm working on that hopefully will be back on the air. We want to do great shows. We want to have great content. We want to be unique. We want to make sure you have to come to Tony Kurre Radio or Spotify, and again, on demand. You can check out all of our shows. It's fantastic. So
You
check it out.
removed my mic since I haven't been here. Just letting you know.
Well, we moved some things around last week.
Oh, look at that.
And a special thanks to our good friend Brian Christine, who joined us last Thursday. He did not win the District 15 for the state senate, but
I reached out to him yesterday.
I did too. And he seems like he's in good spirits. And now it's interesting to see that if he wants to continue this dream of his, this is a guy that has not 1 ounce of politics in him until about 6 or 7 months ago. And he decided to run. What's really sucks is I hate when someone wins their thing and then they have no one to run against. There's not one Democrat in the, and I'm sure Republicans in the state are loving that. But I mean, he just wins. From this point on, he just wins because there's no one to run against him. That's really sad in a lot of ways. Because competition breeds, right? And so when you have competition, it keeps you on your toes and makes you a better person. He's got no one to run against him, so whatever. But this, we haven't had a Democratic governor in the state in 25, 26 years, something like that. We probably won't have one for another. Yeah, it's been a while. So, all right. So we're going to get into some interesting things. I do want to have a little fun today. It's hard to have fun. I do want to get into it from a psychological standpoint because you're a former UAB clinical psychologist. You're the best. You've done stuff nationally all over the world. And when is it time to move on? When is it okay to move on? We'll talk about that after the shootings in Uvalde. I did something yesterday. It's just very difficult when you know you have to talk about something, but you don't want to talk about it. Not because our thoughts and prayers aren't with them. We just, what's the angle? We're going to be on Fox 6 this morning at 9:30. They want to talk about it. Obviously, you're a psychologist, and there were psychologists all over television yesterday. And I listened to most of them just to see.
And we were all saying the same thing, which is good. I mean, we were all basically saying the same thing. There's only,
take a deep breath.
Well,
prayer, be supportive, talk to somebody. I mean, we're always trying to find that different angle because we don't want to be so general in our stuff. And I think we may have just a little bit of a different angle on Fox 6 this morning.
So I'm glad I'm actually here today because this is my only media outlet where I really don't have to keep it like
3 minutes.
3 minutes and perimetered.
No, I love it.
It's I talked to my son. I texted with my son who's in the UK today. I just asked him, you know, what's the vibe there about this? Because it's a pretty unique situation to have one of my kids in another country as this is making news. And, you know, there are Americans where he is, but there's, you know, in his school, it's mostly people from other countries.
Yeah.
And I said, what are you saying or doing? And he's like, you know, I'm just mostly being quiet and listening. It's not pretty to hear sort of the views of us, and they're not malicious. It's not malicious at all. But when you sort of look at, and again, and I hope people who hear this from this country that we don't do that sort of typical defensive, this is the greatest country in the world. Stop.
Yeah.
This is. We believe it. We're here. But I can tell you that other countries who don't have this problem look at us and they are scratching their head. And they are sort of saying, for lack of a better word, what are y'all doing? Like, you know, and it's not, I asked him, and it's not with disdain from other countries. They truly are like, why can't the U.S. figure this out? Is really what the question is. I think where the harsh criticism comes in is this, that the U.S. is trying to figure out, and there's other things we've tried to figure out. This is one where children and others are dying.
Yeah.
You know, so like we may have differences in fuel and in, you know, solar energy and those kinds of things, but like this is one where people are dying, and the other several of these, you know, these are graduate students at Oxford. These are the ones who are going to be leading, and they're like, y'all just you can't get past yourselves in your democracy. And at the same thing, immediately I thought about what you said. I don't remember how you describe it. Basically, like we're like infants from a country, right? As great as we think our, you know, history is,
we're still learning,
which is really it's settling or not settling. It's unsettling to think that as a country we are such babies years wise. Because we won't be here.
We really are. We're still toddlers, and we're still learning, and we're trying to be responsible. We're trying to be accountable, but we just can't get it yet. I mean, and again, it comes with being the freest country in the world, the most democratic, you know, having democracy in this country, and we just can't. And that goes for COVID. It goes for whenever we're allowed to say, okay, we have a problem. You know what to do. Now do it right. We can't do it right. You know, I also realize there's bad eggs, there's evil that walks, and I get all that stuff.
That's not a we can't use that like anymore, in my view. Like we can't just say that I mean, that is true. I totally agree with you. But we can't just keep going, you know, there are bad people in the world, and there's only a few of them, and it doesn't happen that often, and you know, and for all the times that it does, like we got to stop doing that. So anyway, I thought it was really interesting because my son doesn't. It's not political.
Yeah.
His classmates, I mean, they have their political views, but they do look at us, and I think it's important for us to think about ourselves in the eyes of other countries. And again, we tend to get defensive about that. Well, we don't care what anyone else thinks. We should. Yeah. We should, because we interact with other countries. Mm-hmm. And so just...
And we've gone too far down this road now. It's hard to back up. It's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
I love you. See, I love you. You always have the greatest things.
No, I mean, we're too far gone on gun rights and everything else. That stuff is not going to be... We're going to have to repeal it, pull it back, figure it out, whether it's guns rights or ages or whatever it is. I know there's states that have... You know, Connecticut obviously changed their gun laws after their shooting up there, and we're just gonna we got to figure it out. We got to figure it out because we know there's going to be another. Now there probably won't be another, at least for another 2 or 3 months, because school's out.
But that's terrible.
I know it's horrible.
Well, and before let's just you know again.
By the way, there've been 27 school shootings this year, and there've been more. This year, and there've been more kids killed in school shootings than police officers on duty in this country.
And then, you know, you said it's summer, right? So there's no school, but the last shootings we had, two shootings we had were in a grocery store and in a church.
Yeah. And this is really sad, but all I could think about during the pandemic was thinking, well, at least there won't be any school shootings.
Yes, I did. We talked about that.
There won't be any school shootings.
We talked about
kids
that.
aren't in school, and that's just super sad and super sick. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out. I don't know what else we can say on it. And you know, in life, we make the biggest changes in our life when we're hit with the biggest trauma. Whether that be a plane crash, whether it be a natural disaster, whether it be a terrorist attack, whether it be cancer. When we have the biggest amount of trauma in our life, that's when we say, okay, enough's enough. I've had it. This is where I have to. Maybe you've never had flood insurance. You never needed flood insurance.
Right.
It never affected you. Next thing you know, you got 4 feet of water in your house, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? It's time to make that change. It takes major trauma for us. And I use the airplane analogy the best. I watch this air disaster show. I know J.P. Dicer, a good friend, they used to be on Fox 6. Watch this show a lot. There have been a lot of unnecessary plane crashes, but it changed the rules.
We haven't changed. I know.
The FAA changed the rules. They changed everything. And because of that, they were like, unfortunately, we had to have this tragedy happen where an X number of people died for us to go, okay, we need to change these things. And unfortunately, that's what's happening here in this country. And you know, when you're talking about kids, it takes it to an all new level. The Buffalo thing was horrible.
Right, and
terrible. Racist. It was horrible. But when you're talking about innocent second, third, and fourth graders being caught in the crossfire, literally and figuratively, it's just something's got to change. So we'll talk about that coming up on Fox 6 in just about an hour and 15 minutes right here with Dubs, and I think it's an all-man show today.
It's an all-man show, so yeah.
So we'll get into it. I got a couple of things I want to get into real quick. There's a brand new epidemic in this country. It's called loneliness.
Oh no, that's not new.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking about monkeypox.
See, this is going to be like...
Did you know about the monkeypox, though?
I know about the monkeypox thing.
By the way, do you know, I do tell everybody I see, everyone I know, that the end of the world is coming.
Yeah.
And that it is in a theory according to Tony Kurre.
Animals.
Yes.
Animals.
Monkeypox.
Monkeypox.
I saw a raccoon on my roof yesterday.
Monkeypox doesn't even sound real.
Well, and Ellen Eaton, who's an infectious disease doctor at UAB, posted this morning. She's been a huge front lines of COVID, and I don't remember the post exactly on Twitter, but she's like, these are my words, not hers. Oh God, now we've got to start doing rates of monkeypox.
Yeah.
Which, it's like, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's the monkeys.
It's not nearly as deadly as some of our other viruses.
Well, that's good.
But it does make it'll give you a nasty rash. That's for sure, monkeypox.
I know.
What's going on here? We'll get into that. Plus, a brand new epidemic, if you will, when it comes to divorces, how social media can tear apart your marriage.
No,
Not
really?
catching someone cheating on social media, but by, social media is ours. That's my baby. Now, you have a deal with your family where you won't post something unless you ask them first, which I think is very, very respectful.
Well, that's only because I got busted so many times.
But a lot of people in marriages may be saying one thing to their wife or husband and then posting something totally different on social media, and they're like, what are you doing? And someone at the highest level in our government, or at least she used to be, came out, she's got a book out, and she talked about it. And it broke their marriage apart. So we'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. John Wayne has a birthday today. He would have been
103.
115.
Oh boy.
Your boy Lenny Kravitz has a birthday today.
I've got such a man crush on that guy.
I know, right?
Please don't tell me he's old. Like he's like 60.
He's 58.
God. 58.
He's still good. He's in his 50s.
I know. No, I'm not saying he's old. Just look at him. Look how great he looks for 50.
He's got another 20 years. Brent Musburger.
Oh, jeez. He's got to be 80.
He's 83. Hank Williams Jr. Oh, man, I've told my Hank Williams Jr. story.
It's cringy.
He's 73. And Stevie Nicks.
Wow, this is an interesting cadre
of... right? John Wayne, Stevie Nicks, Lenny Kravitz, Hank Williams Jr.
Stevie Nicks is in her 7?
She is 74 today.
Have we seen recent pictures of her?
We have. She just played a concert.
Yeah, all right. Did she just cancel a concert?
She played, did she play Jazz Fest?
Something.
Down in New Orleans, and we had When in Rome with Stuart Rome on.
How does she look? How's she doing?
She's 74.
Okay.
She's 74. She's got a little Kelly McGillis going for her. Isn't it kind of funny, too? Not funny, but isn't it kind of strange, too, that we have this huge movie called Top Gun that's coming out this week?
I thought about that. I watched, I found myself...
It's a different type of gun, but still, it's kind of like...
I found myself yesterday as I was watching through the news, which was like horrible. Then I was watching basketball. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And I found myself on Reels.
Yeah, the basketball playoffs have sucked.
They
So bad. There's no reason. I mean, every game has been.
And I remember like you. Like, so then I found myself on Reels.
Yeah.
And it was a 2-hour documentary about the history of the filming of the original Top Gun, and they had all the Top Gun instructor. Oh my God, that is more interesting or more engaging, actually, than the movie itself. A lot of different things, but they did talk about the classic volleyball scene. There was no volleyball court. It wasn't in the sand. They didn't like where the sand was, so they went in Miramar Beach and they went on the grass, way up on the grass, and they found a field in the grass. They dug it up, brought in 15 tons of sand, created a beach next to the beach. They didn't like the beach, so they created a beach. And then when they were done, they put the grass back, moved everything back, all done. And so they said, people now are like, I know exactly where that. Like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Because it never. The movie, and then the producer, just last tidbit, and then leave it. Scott, I'm forgetting his first name. Scott, his last name is of the producer.
Yeah.
They were on the aircraft carrier, and he had the perfect 4 p.m. sunlight, right? Because he was perfect. For whatever reason, the captain turned the boat. It's not a boat. Turned the aircraft carrier, and he's like, no, turn it back. And they're, and they basically said, we can't. And so he asked the question. This is so great. I wish I had this kind of money. He's like, what does it cost per minute to rent this boat?
Yeah.
It's an aircraft carrier. And they calculated it out, and it was $25,000 for like 3 minutes. And he wrote a personal check here, and they turned it back around so they made the shot. Is that
$15 million it cost to make the original Top Gun? This new one, $157 million, which is really pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, Titanic was $200 million, and people are talking about, oh my gosh, and obviously it made billions of dollars. But and I think Top Gun will probably do pretty well as well. And I mentioned I just saw Top Gun, the original, for the first time the other night.
What did it do for you? We're doing this is such pop culture.
I was surprised how well it translated 36 years after it came out. The graphics and the fight scenes were really well put together for a 1986 flick.
Yep.
Two things stood out to me. Not enough women in it. The bar scene. Now I watched it on TBS, so they may have cut some stuff out.
No.
It
wasn't made for you.
And I realized that we had a bunch of good-looking dudes, and we had to show them shirtless, and I get that, but way too much skin-on-skin contact between the men. Was one of the guys in the movie gay? Not Goose. Iceman's guy. Was he?
I don't think. Really?
There was a lot of hugging with no shirts on, man. I was kind of like.
Well, that was another thing they interviewed.
There's a lot of shower scenes.
Because it was Tom Cruise and.
I know.
This is more interesting. This is more interesting. Think about this. I never thought about this until you just said this. This was one of the first movies, and I don't think it was intended for this, but maybe it was, that wasn't designed to have skin for men. Straight men.
Could have been.
Straight men anyway.
I'm not homophobic.
No,
but it was guys don't play volleyball like that.
Well, yeah,
they don't hug each other, and
the Top Gun instructors had a hard.
In competitive volleyball, they do
right,
but two guys playing at Veterans Park without their shirts on aren't all over each other like that. It was just a little cringe, but I mean, it's I understood why they had to do it and why they did it. And
the Top Gun instructors were not happy about that because what they said is, if you're a Top Gun trainee, when you're done at the end of the day, you are not playing volleyball.
No,
you are going home. You are sleeping. They're saying you're studying. They're like, this is not, And they had a hard time. And finally, because they had all these technical advisors who were the real instructors, and they had to keep holding them back from like just pouncing on and saying, they're like, look, it's a movie.
Yeah,
it's a movie. Please, it's a movie. It's not a documentary.
And Tom Cruise late for his date with Kelly McGillis because he was playing volleyball with his buddy. Okay, and he needed a shower too. No, I thought it translated really well, and I wanted to. A lot of people I mentioned I'd never seen it. A lot of people are like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" I hadn't seen a lot of movies. I haven't seen Goodfellas. I haven't seen Godfather.
You have seen Hoosiers though, finally.
I saw Hoosiers for the first time 3 years ago. Yes,
okay,
and it was good. It was good.
You seen The Color Purple?
I have never seen The Color Purple.
You should probably watch that one. Roots?
I did see parts of Bruce, but that was like a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Any of the gun smoke?
No.
Okay.
No. So
Little
what's
House
going
on
to
the
be
Prairie?
Little House on the Prairie?
Okay, all right, stop.
Walton's was big in my house.
New Orleans, okay.
The Andy Griffith
Nice John
show.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were pasty white Midwest.
Yeah, you guys really were. Okay, go ahead. This is so much fun. I love this.
I know, right?
I love
So
this.
what's going to be the biggest movie this summer? Give me your first, second, and third based on box office. Top Gun, Jurassic Park, Dominion, or the new Elvis movie. The Elvis movie
That
now
was
is and there was, I think it was played at the Cannes Film Festival. Was it yesterday or the day before? And there was an 8-minute standing ovation for the movie. 8 minutes.
You saw the trailer?
Priscilla Presley, yeah. Priscilla Presley was there, and she was bawling. They said
Well, it's
the movie
Tom
was all
Hanks. I mean, it's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, but
I mean,
the guy who plays Elvis evidently just
Yeah.
knocks it out of the park.
I think that my first, as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, this is dark. You know, and my wife Jules was like, yeah, well, Elvis was dark. He's never portrayed, he's not portrayed that way.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be, things to be huge. But I don't think it's going to, I don't know. You know, the Jurassic Parks and the Top Guns are more like everybody's going to see it.
I don't know. I think everyone's going to see Elvis.
You think so?
Yeah.
See, because there's a whole generation, multiple generations.
Elvis is one though that transcends.
But you don't take your kids. You take your kids to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's gonna be more kids. You know what? Jurassic Park, because you're gonna take your kids. You're not gonna take your kids to the Top Gun movie.
Yeah, it's the last one too, or supposed to.
Oh, okay. Jurassic Park. That's most.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Elvis, Top Gun, Jurassic Park third.
No, I'm going Jurassic Park.
I think we're getting a little. I'm thinking I'm getting a little Jurassic Parked out.
Yeah, but you are. But are you gonna?
I've seen every one of them. I love them. Don't get me wrong,
But you're not gonna take your kids. You would take your kids to that. You wouldn't take your kids to the Elvis movie, and you wouldn't take your kids to Top Gun because they wouldn't. They don't care.
That's a good point.
That's where I think Top Gun's gonna have an interesting thing because most people don't care about Top Gun unless you were like us in the 80s.
All right, so let's talk about this. The Kurre and Klapow show, by the way. If you miss any of our show here, you can watch it on Spotify. Go to Spotify. Search Tony Kurre Radio. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. You can see hundreds of great podcasts, musical elemented shows. We have blues shows. We have classic rock shows. We have business shows. We have non-for-profit shows. We have Dark Side of the Pooch, which is one of our favorite shows we do every Monday with Dr. Rab Stewart from the Rossbridge Animal Hospital. It's fantastic. Checking them out. It's wonderful. And, of course, download the Tony Kurre Radio app. We've gotten a huge uptick in downloads on the Tony Kurre Radio app recently because people are going to Spotify. They want to hear first-run shows.
That's
they're
right.
coming back, so it's working out really, really well. So get into that and make sure you follow us. We greatly appreciate that. We'll talk about how social media can tear apart your marriage, not because you're getting on social media and finding out that your partner is cheating, but by what they're saying. We'll talk about that. We are going to be on Fox 6 in about an hour talking about the shooting. Jeremy, who's the producer that we deal with, great guy, was like, "What do y'all want to get into this week?" And I was like, "Are you joking? I mean, what do you think?"
Because we tend to be pretty light on that. I mean, not on the show.
Well, yeah,
on that.
We're Kurre and Klapow.
Right.
We don't. I mean, we'll talk about serious stuff, but we don't want to talk about serious
No.
stuff. We want to talk about fun stuff because we're fun guys.
Yes, that's right. We're so fun.
I do think it's interesting the timing of the shooting. Well, there's never a good timing for a shooting, but it was the last week of school.
This is making me cry.
I know a lot of kids were given all kinds of awards. It's just a horrible moment. I saw an Anderson Cooper moment last night with a father that just broke my heart. And on top of that, of course, school is going to be letting out next week, and I can't imagine how many people were looking forward to these kids put this wonderful school year, this scholastic year, on their belts, and they were looking forward to summer vacation. And
Do you think it's any different? This is not an angle. This wouldn't get asked on Fox. This was a town. It's a town of approximately 16,000 people, super small. So I'm assuming, and I don't know this, that is the elementary school. You know, unlike where we have here in bigger states where, you know, it's tragic, but this is every kid who's in elementary school
went to that school.
Went to that school.
And
I think
everybody knew each other.
Yeah, I mean, because people say that all the time, but particularly when you get to a town that small, there is nobody else. There are nobody else. There is nobody else. One of the responding sheriff's children was shot.
Yeah.
This is if this doesn't make you cry and outraged, and more than prayers up, then you need to check yourself. Because this is so far outside of the realm of not just human experience, but any one of us who are adults, parents. You don't even have to be, but like just the setup of it again, like a horrific movie scene.
Yeah.
I just
what really struck me was the local priest who was asked about it. He couldn't even say anything. They're like, because obviously you're looking to clergy, you're looking for help.
Somebody.
It's a God thing. What are we going to do? And of course, you say all the things. We'll get through this, and with our faith and our hope. And I heard the governor say, we have to. And the mayor of the town, obviously, is self-proclaimed Christian. He's like, we'll get through this, and you can't tell someone that just lost their child you're going to get through this. You don't know, but you've got to take all the necessary steps. And I thought the one thing the governor did say that was interesting, there's not one person in this town that doesn't need to get some help somewhere. You need to talk to somebody, find help, do something to get us through this, and don't bury it, because
with respect to
therapy.
No, but for the aftermath of this.
Yes.
Okay, good, because I was going another direction. I was going to get very upset.
Because those parents are forever changed. They've lost a part of their soul, and they'll never get that back. And listen, we've been around trauma and tragedy enough in our lives that this is the fight or flight. At this particular time, this is the fight or flight part and it's hard. Because
I think I'm getting, you're always really good about checking me back. Again, this is the show that I am the most transparent on.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've finally reached this point where I'm beyond, this is fight or flight, we'll get through. Those things are all true. I'm not saying that it's not true. The stuff that I talk about on TV is true. Those are the things you need to do. That is how you need to talk to your kids. You do need to compose yourself. But this one for me felt like, I don't even know how to say that. This is pathetic. This is, and immediately all of our politicians, and we talked to Brian Christine about this in general, our politicians are in, sort of deadlocked. And again, I want to say this, and this is to me to both sides. Regardless of what our politicians are saying, we did elect them. So even if it's corrupt and whatever it is, it's like they aren't the only ones. And we cannot get past ourselves, even in the multiple deaths of people.
Yep.
And I watch people try to, understand this, and I think try to understand this with good intention. But, we always do the same thing. It's a mental health problem.
Yep.
It's a gun problem. It's a this problem. And if I see one more person say, guns aren't the problem, people are the problem.
Yep.
Like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Not now, anyway.
Not now.
Yeah.
It isn't, life is not that simple. And at the same time, you can't use complexity as a cop-out.
Yeah.
I do not like that. I don't like hearing this is multi-layered, it's complex. Yes, it is, but that doesn't give us reason to not do anything. And I think that's a lot of times what ends up happening in these situations, because we live in a free society, right? And it's very democratic. The more complex it is, the more we have people pulling on either side because it's complex, and we don't get jack done.
Yeah.
That's us. We don't get anything done.
Yeah. We've dug our heels in so far.
Right.
And we will never let go of our values and our principles and what we believe to be true, whether it's the right or the left, and that's where we're getting in trouble here. And at some point,
that's very immature, by the way.
It is.
Right?
It is immature.
That's like a toddler or a teenager.
I'll use this in a relationship. At some point, the bigger person needs to step back and say, "Listen, there needs to be something." And I don't know who that is, but the NRA obviously is having their convention.
Think about the timing of this.
Oh, it's horrible.
I don't want to laugh.
They had a convention a couple days after another school shooting, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with them having a convention. Obviously, the timing is horrible, but no one at the convention is allowed to come in with any type of weapon. And of course, they're saying, wow, how ironic is that? And that is because Donald Trump is going to be there. and the Secret Service won't allow it. It's not to say that they wouldn't have allowed that if Donald Trump wasn't going to be speaking, but it's a great opportunity
for somebody to say something.
For somebody to say something. If they get up there and they're stomping and blah 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 blah, I don't know what that says about not only the National Rifle Association but the people that are speaking at it. And it's a great opportunity to take a deep breath, check it back a little bit, and obviously if there's going to be some things said about the Uvalde shooting, I would assume at the convention. Yeah. I don't know if I'd even feel comfortable. I'm a gun owner. Yeah. I've shot it. I get it. I'm all about people having rights to guns, but there's got to be some things checked back. And the sad thing is, and this is the bummer, it's going to happen again.
Of course it will.
It's going to happen again, and
because we're not making any changes.
Yeah, it's going to happen again, and I will go back to and one thing about this priest that spoke yesterday about how every family needs to have prayers. I know people don't want to hear this, but it's true. We have to be forgiving, or else we can't move on, and we must pray for the shooter too. I know a lot of people are like, part of me was like glad that the shooter was killed. And I'm thinking more from a tax dollar standpoint, court, and all these things that we're going to have to. So he's out of the picture. And I know a lot of people did not want him shot because he wanted him to reap the, if that's the right word, the consequences that were going to be bestowed upon him. Obviously, the kid. If you want to talk about pure evil, the fact that he shot his grandma in the face and posted it on Facebook, by the way, that he was going to do that and then go to the school. By
the way, it was Facebook Messenger, because people are slamming on Facebook for that.
Yeah.
Which again, I think it's very ironic there, because that's our First Amendment, right? You say what you want to say, and that was a personal message. That's not Facebook's fault, unless we're going to allow the censorship over there, right? Are they going to be able to look at your personal messages? I mean, and again, that's a question.
I don't think we could have done anything in time anyway, but
right. Yeah, it wasn't a post. I mean, that's my only point. It was not a Facebook post. It was sent as Messenger. So if I send you a Facebook message, nobody sees my message. Yeah. Facebook sees it.
If there's one common denominator between the majority of these individuals, these demonic, it's funny because you're a doctor, and so people are calling him psychopath and all this other stuff. As far as we know, he didn't have any mental incapacitations that would have prompted something like this. Now, did he have a manifest? Did he talk about guns? Did he post pictures? Yeah, he did. He did a lot of things where it's a head scratcher. Like, okay, we may have a problem here,
but we don't have a way. We don't have a legal means to do anything.
But as far as I know, and I tried to watch as much of it as I possibly could last night before I just started getting ill, was that he didn't have. The only thing is, he was a loner. Mm-hmm. He was an outsider. He was bullied. He stopped going to school. And
doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, he had an argument with his mother prior to moving in with his grandma and grandpa about the Wi-Fi, which is normal in every home. And then it went on this rampage, and so it's just it's unfortunate. And again, I know prayer fixes everything, but it's hard. We'll talk more about it on Fox 6 in a little under an hour here on Kurre and Klapow. So check it out. Make sure you go to Spotify, check out all of our shows, and of course you can listen to it. By the way, we are going through a major upgrade here on Tony Kurre Radio. In a couple of weeks, you're going to be hearing some big differences, so we're looking forward to that. But yeah, the whole idea that the NRA is having their convention, I think, is that it's going to be one of the most watched NRA conventions. I don't know if you can watch it live on stream it or whatever else, but it will certainly be. There's going to be a lot of people taking a look at finding those things out. So talking about loners. I thought this was really interesting. Tell me your thoughts. Are you one of those people that comes in the house and turns the TV on the minute you walk in the door?
Not anymore. I did when I was single, living by myself.
Yeah. Just to get some sound?
Yeah.
To have something in the
room?
I've
sort of, maybe it's because I've had kids and sort of moved, I'm in the quiet phase.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to just, and I wasn't watching it. I was exactly that way. I was just put it in the background sound.
Officials now distributing robots to hundreds of elderly residents, saying
that is so great.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, I love that. I'm sorry. You fun. Is that what is that? Is that the Guardian?
No, well, no, because it's called Eliq, ELIQ, capital Q, which is a more proactive version of Siri or Alexa, which is great for old people because nothing against old people,
Well, yeah.
but old people half the time they just want to hear something. You know, they got their TV on, they're watching the Jewelry Channel or whatever. I've got a lot of people that I work with that are elderly, that are in nursing homes. They're always talking about how lonely they are.
Yeah.
And man, if you show up to go play bingo with them or have lunch with them one day, they're just like it changes their life. These digital companions are going to help to remind them to take their medication, help contact loved ones, book an Uber ride, and even engage in small talk and crack jokes. The New York State Office for the Aging, which is NYSOFA, will deliver the machines to the homes of 800 older adults as a way to combat the growing problem of loneliness.
Who's the does it say who the company is? Just I'm curious. That's made these things.
It's manufactured by an Israeli tech firm called Intuition Robotics.
There you go.
It's described as a more proactive version of Siri or Alexa. Many features attracted us to Eliq. That is a proactive tool, remembers the interactions with individuals, focuses on health and wellness, stress reduction, sleep, hydration, including cracking jokes. It focuses on what matters to individuals, memories, life validation, interactions with friends.
Oh
and
my
families,
God, genius!
And promotes overall good health.
That
and well-being.
is genius. That's one of those things, you know, where you always say, why didn't I invent that?
Mm-hmm.
That is genius. If you think about it, we have the technology, we've got AI now, right? And we're using it for all this other stuff. We've got robots that you know deliver things, everything from hospitals to you have you go in the club boxes at certain stadiums. They have, but this is great.
No, and it's something
It's
that
so great.
It evidently is something that will interact with you even if you're not interacting with it.
Right, like hey,
So it just throws
Tony,
stuff out, yeah.
Tony,
Which
what's
could
up?
freak out some older people, I would think. I mean, I don't want this damn thing going off at 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, just
I gotta go to the bathroom.
exactly. Subscription rate $30 to $40 per month. Would-be buyers pay a $250 enrollment fee, but these are going to be free.
Okay,
to these
good. Yeah, because
individuals.
right there.
And they're coming to Alabama.
Really? When are we getting them?
State governments in New York, Alabama, Pennsylvania, Florida, and other jurisdictions have experimented with similar plots and are exploring the idea.
I had not heard about. See, look at us. That's great. It is. You know, is it the same as having a human there? No, but does it create something? Does it fill a void? Yes. I think what's real interesting about this is we've always been, particularly with elderly folks, we've been in that middle ground. Medication reminders, sort of emergency contacts, technology to let loved ones know about vital signs. You know, we've been dancing around that part. But what's really cool about this is the way you describe this. It's dancing around. It's attacking the psychological piece directly.
Yeah.
Validation, loneliness, lack of communication, memories. I mean, the kinds of things that all of us need, but particularly elderly, like that. I think that's one of the biggest problems. You can have somebody. My grandfather was this way. He's lived to 97 years old, 96 years old. He took his damn medications every day. There was only 3 of them, right? He drank water every day because he'd been drinking water every day. It's part of the reason he got to live to 97 years old. You know, he didn't have any major health problems or risk. He was he was lonely.
Yeah. Just a month before the global pandemic was declared, the National Academy's report showed that 1/3, 32% of U.S. adults aged 45 and up said they were lonely.
45 and up. Say that.
45 and
40,
up.
that's important.
Surveys have surprisingly found higher rates in younger adults.
Yeah.
And that was 2 months before the pandemic.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about the UK had a 3 years ago, designated a minister of, this is, again, people are going to laugh, but a minister of loneliness who was part of their overall, the UK's overall approach to, sort of governmental approach to health and well-being. And they basically said that, look, loneliness is such a problem. It's contributing to everything from depression and suicide to lack of self-care. I mean, that's one of the problems, but when you're lonely, it's not just that you become depressed or you kill yourself. You start not caring for yourself as much, and that leads to problems with acute illness, etc. So they basically said, look, we're going to put someone in charge of this to make sure, and this is important, not just to make sure that everybody's not lonely, that's stupid,
Yep.
but to make sure that the initiatives that we put into place to improve people's health, to support people in getting food, getting water, also look at and address gaps in social interaction, and they roll that into there. It makes sense.
So this is a fix, but is it really a fix? Because a computer, a robot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I turn the TV on the minute I walk in the door. It makes me feel better. I need to have some sound.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, you're a
I have a
radio
fish
guy.
tank. Well, I do, I'm not good alone. I don't
Yep.
like being alone. I'll tell you right now, I'm an interactive guy. It's not that I don't want to be alone. I just don't like being alone. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense, because we all need time and want time to be by ourselves, but we want it when we want it and for how long we want it.
Exactly. And so when you're sitting there by yourself all day, you just get out, you go for drives, you do whatever you can, you talk to your dogs, you do. And so while this isn't a fix, my main purpose was like, wow, what are we doing here?
Yeah, well,
We can't go see our old folks. We can't see our grandmas and grandpas and grandfathers.
We
and
don't.
And I know life is busy, and I know a lot of people. I have friends of mine that are caretakers, and they have them move into their homes, which is fine. That may be a financial burden because it's too expensive to put. I know when my mom was in a nursing home, it was $6,000 a month, and it just bludgeoned my dad's finances. But he did what he had to do, and he visited her every single day. Now she had dementia, so she didn't know who the hell he was. And I said, and every time he came, she would go, "Why haven't you come to see me in months?" He's like, "I was here yesterday," and she didn't know. But he put himself through that because he was married to her for 56 years, and he did what he thought was the right thing. But part of me is kind of like, are we starting to use these things in a way? Are we making a deal with the devil?
Well, listen, we've done every other proxy of it. We have home health care, we have caregivers, we have we have companions for hire, right? You can hire somebody
Yeah.
to come in and not do health care, but to do so. So we have pets, we have pet visitations.
We have virtual, which I think is
Yeah, my grandfather at 97, we got him an iPad.
yeah.
But so we've done all of that. And so this is a logical next step, but I think you're right. It makes it pulls at our culture. In other cultures, you bring them into your home.
Yeah.
Or you don't move away. I mean,
Yeah.
my grandparents have all passed away, but when my grandfather was 96, 97, he was in LA. I'm in Alabama.
I'm always intrigued by cultures where the family lives together forever.
Yeah.
We see that with a lot of Latino
Yeah.
families.
Yeah.
Everyone works. They all put their money into the middle, and they're happy. But
Even if they're not together, even if they're not literally under the same roof, it is assumed, expected that if someone is elderly, frail, whatever,
take care of them.
period, you take care of them.
Yeah.
There's a difference. I mean, and we live, again, same thing. This kind of goes back to our beginning conversation. We live in a country where there are more means for lots of people.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm so busy. Oh, well, there's, companion. I'll hire the companion service to fill in the gaps when I can't make the visits.
Yeah.
There's home health, so that when I'm not there, or if I can't be there, then there's somebody there. And it's the logical next step, but it speaks to our culture. This is the same thing. Is this what we want to do?
Yeah. Is it?
Don't know. Well, look.
It makes me sad to think that just because I know there's going to be people out there that are going to get one of these for their grandma because they just can't see grandma.
Then it's not going to work. That's the other problem.
But I know. But they're going to think, well, at least she's got a leak.
Yeah.
I can't see you today.
Oh, it's called a leak.
Yeah,
That's
a leak.
a terrible name.
E-leak. Yeah. Sorry, I can't be there today. Talk to your leak. Is it going to be an excuse? It's like, I'm too busy, I'm too tired to walk the dog, so I'm going to take him up the street to the bark zone.
Hey, bark sounds great. Or no, I'm going to get no, that's different. That's because that's doggy day. You can talk to her. No, I'm going to get a walker.
Yeah.
A dog walker.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the service.
Or leave him outside all day.
Yeah, that's exactly. But that is us.
Yeah, I know.
That is us. We want to say what we want to say. We want to protect ourselves. and we only want to have something in case we're too busy to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's me and Amazon.
Talk about one of our great sponsors, John Gray. I still got to get my taxes done. I'm still,
Jeez,
I know. I'm just like, geez.
So here, I'll give you a great John Gray story. John is a financial advisor. He works with
great.
folks all over the country at every economic level. It doesn't matter whether you got a lot of money or no money. You're just starting out. You've made through a major life change and you're trying to sort of revamp. He works on helping you through debt management, college savings, all of it. He's not just there to put your money in mutual funds. So yesterday was a great example. I've worked with him for over a decade. He takes phone calls from all of his clients. He takes text messages. I got locked out of my child's 529 college account. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't remember my name or my password. I called the 1-800 number and they wouldn't answer the phone. So what did I do? I mean, this is how great John. I emailed John and I said, look, I know you have access to all of our funds. Can you help me with my username? Sorry. He's like,
after he stopped laughing, what
he would reply. He's like, no, I can't help you with that because I don't know your username or password. But do you need a report? Like, I'll get you what you need. And I said, yeah, I want to know how much. And with of course, because he boom right there. Now, and the reason I'm saying that is John's got a lot of clients.
Yep.
I am not his biggest client, and this was not like, oh my God, the market's crashing, whatever. This is, hey, I wanted to know. That's the kind of guy John Gray is. So go to his webpage, driscollgray.com. Get on top of your finances. I mean, this is something that is not, most of us can't figure out. John Gray is there.
Download the Tony Kurre Radio app. Go to Spotify, search Tony Kurre Radio. That's Kurre with a K. You can see the Kurre and Klapow show. There's hundreds of episodes of our shows. We had Brian Christine on last week talking some politics. We do it all. There are great music shows, great blues shows, great business shows. We have a special announcement with Adapter Parish from Adaptogent coming up next week. We're doing a show tomorrow on that. We have When in Rome with Stuart Rome. It's a great thing. I'm also going to be on a show called Wanna Bet. That's going to be airing on a Saturday morning on the CW. Looking forward to do that with Kip Kiefer today. We're going to be in partnership with them. And, of course, I also do the Jay Barker Radio Network on Tuesdays. So we're all over the place. So check it out. It's fantastic. Has your wife or anybody in your family ever posted something on social media that you didn't like? Not you didn't like them posting it for themselves, but it had something to do with you.
No, but I've done that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've made posts, not what's the word? Not derogatory.
Yeah.
But I've made posts that my kids have said, don't.
My kids are the same way.
It's not just don't embarrass me, but I don't like that being out there.
Like even a picture. I'm really careful about posting stuff of my children. If it's just a picture, it's one thing. Video kind of, it depends on what it is.
I'm down to birthdays, by the way. Yeah. That's it. Now I'm in the,
Because you're posting something about their life, and maybe they don't want.
That's exactly.
And my 17-year-old, who's not on social media, I know he looks at things. He probably has his own account now, but he's not supposed to, just because I don't think he needs it. But he hates when I've ever posted anything with him in it. He just doesn't. He doesn't like it, and I'm okay with that, and I respect that. But I have posted some other things in the past. So say you're in a relationship. Because this is your social media account.
Yeah.
Josh Klapow or Jules or whoever you're in a relationship with. That's their baby. And sometimes people will post things in a social media account that you're kind of like, wow, where'd that come from? Mm-hmm. I never knew you felt that way about that particular thing. Mm-hmm. Kellyanne Conway was in the East Room of the White House when Sean Spicer bounded towards her a couple of years ago.
I don't even know what this is, but this is good.
He said, did you know about this? Spicer asked her. He held his phone out. Twitter was open. On the screen was a tweet written by her husband, George.
Right.
She said, that's not possible. George doesn't tweet. Her brand new memoir called Here's the Deal. Within seconds, Conway realized that not only did George indeed tweet, he'd taken a swipe at her boss, President Donald Trump, for tweets that would complicate matters for the Office of the Solicitor General, which was trying to defend his travel ban on certain Muslim countries.
Oh, yeah.
He said, these tweets may make some people feel better, but they certainly won't help OSG get 5 votes in SCOTUS, which is what actually matters. Sad, George wrote.
Hence started his entire Twitter presence.
Yeah. As Conway tried calling and texting George to no avail, questions started swirling in her head. Why had George done that? Why hadn't he mentioned it to her beforehand, before he posted? Was this tweet really posted by my Trump-loving, MAGA cap-wearing husband, George Conway? She said, for the first time since George and I had gotten serious, they married back in 1998, I was looking at the possibility that the man who had always had my back might one day stab me in it.
That's spicy.
She, of course, became the first woman in American politics to run a successful presidential campaign when Trump won in 2016, was later appointed senior counselor to the president, writes unflinchingly of marriage, motherhood, and having a front row seat to one of the most colorful administrations in U.S. history. She would go on to say that while he greatly supported her during her presidency run with Donald Trump, she would always start seeing these posts, and she started having to follow him to find out what he was writing about the administration that she was working
with.
Yeah,
he wasn't a supporter.
He would write posts and then delete them. And she would say, oh no, here we go again. As her husband George was rampaging on Twitter, because if people wanted to find out the inside deal, they don't follow Kelly and they follow her husband because they want to know what's going on behind closed doors. Soon after, and she talks about meetings with Ivanka Trump and other individuals that she was dealing with, she at one point said, you're the only person in this world with whom I took vows on an altar at the Basilica Cathedral of St. Peter's and Paul in Philadelphia in front of God and our loved ones and 5 priests. You're the only person in this world for whom I've given birth to 4 children.
Oh.
As she said this to George, he looked dazed, but she kept going, saying he was the only person who had a choice to make. You can see me mostly as your wife of 18 years and the mother of your 4 children, or you can see me mostly as senior counselor to President Donald Trump. When you wake up every morning, you have to decide how you see me. He, of course, did the one thing that men are really good at. He turned it around and said, well, how do you see me?
Yeah. This is, I mean, it was well known that he was not a supporter at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing that made it so interesting, is he would slam on Trump. He wouldn't slam on her in his tweets. He wouldn't support her, but he wouldn't slam on her.
Well, this is one of those situations where
this is extreme.
Yeah, and we'll get into the posting of salacious pictures too, because I know of one individual who I told last night that I was going to do this story, who has a wife of 13 years who's very attractive, and she recently, over the last 3 months, has started posting pictures of herself in bathing suits. She has recently lost a little weight.
Oh, okay.
She really didn't have to lose a whole lot of weight, but she's very attractive, and she's doing those Facebook things, with the camera down here, going down her boobs, and he's like, well, what's going on? You've never posted things like this on social media before. Why would you be posting pictures of yourself? Because you don't normally dress like that. And I understand if we're at the beach and it's a family photo and you're in a bikini, that's one thing.
What'd you tell him?
I
said
it's time to have a conversation.
Yeah, because
is she insecure? Is she proud of this new body? Is she posting it for someone else? Mm-hmm. Is she doing it to get followers? I've said this a million times. If you're a good-looking woman and you post a picture of yourself in a bikini, it's going to help your following. Period. There's a lot of people, and it's sad, but there's a lot of people that will follow you, and that's why women post pictures. If I go across my news feed at the top, I could show it to you. It's just one picture after another of the girls in the car with the thing, Happy Monday, and their boobs are hanging out, and I'm like, I know this woman.
That's because of what you're looking at. I don't get that on mine.
I can't get away. Now, I've liked a lot of people, and I have 5,000 friends on my Facebook, because if someone follows me, I will automatically go back and look at their page, make sure there's nothing salacious or racist in it, and go, this looks like a nice person. I'll look at their profile, and I will follow them back. That's how it works.
You know what's so funny about you? Here's what's so funny about you. You have your whole Tony Kurre, if someone comes to the door, I don't answer the door.
I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But if somebody actually comes to your door, you won't open the damn door because they didn't have an appointment with you.
Yes,
but you'll friend somebody on Facebook who you have no freaking idea who they are.
Yeah.
Do you respond to your messages on Facebook? No, you don't. How do I know? Because I've been in your account.
About once a month.
Right, you have like thousands of messages. People want to get a hold of you.
Yeah, well, if there are people that I want to get in touch with, they know my cell phone number. They can text me.
Yeah, that's true.
So I always think it's weird that someone is messaging me on Facebook.
So if someone
if you got my phone number, call me.
Yeah, but if someone messaged you on Facebook and said, "Hey, I'm a new friend. Can I have your cell phone?"
Sure. Sure. I've given you my cell phone number out of the show. 542-1848. I don't care. I mean, call me.
But don't show up to his house. Don't show up to his house because
very intrusive. Very intrusive.
I was actually the last time I came
because
over.
I'm allowed to turn it down, or I don't have to answer the phone call. If you want to text me or
if they come to the door, if you come to the door, he doesn't have to answer.
You're in my yard. I don't like that. So here's how this went down. George, and by the way, you look at George, you look at her, and he outkicked his coverage. And they've been married for a long period of time. He supported his wife, got behind her, was a Republican, was make America great again kind of guy, was behind it. And then at some point, he started to peel off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, this is getting a little crazy, which is what a lot of people happen. You were all in with Donald Trump,
right?
Or you were kind of like, okay, this is getting too weird.
Right. And he said, I'm out, basically.
Yeah. And then you had to decide, okay, am I going to stay in because of the party, or am I staying because of Trump? And we talked to Brian Christine about that. We asked him point blank, are you a Trump Republican or are you a Republican?
Right.
Because the Republican Party is bigger than Donald Trump.
Yep.
And I do think he's losing a lot of his, just based on the people that he endorsed in the primaries this past Tuesday. Not everyone that Donald Trump supported got elected. So I think that he started peeling off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And thought, okay, this is the Donald Trump that I supported, and I supported you because you work for him.
Yeah.
And obviously, if I'm writing things about this hurting your job, blah 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 blah. Could you imagine working for a company, and say you worked at UAB again, and you were making a lot of money at UAB, and you were a high-standing psychologist at UAB, and your wife was hammering on UAB, going, they're not doing things right. They're doing horrible. There's a misappropriation of money here. I can't believe the president of UAB Psychiatrics or whatever said this, that, and the other. And they're hammering on the company that you're working for, knowing that people are following them now because they're throwing out the really good stuff, and you're sitting there towing the company line. So at some point, George should have, in order to save his marriage, if he cared.
Are they divorced?
I don't know.
I mean, they had all kinds of other problems with their child.
But I mean, she said in her memoir, it's either me or but you know, she also got out too. Remember? And her daughter has been incredibly outspoken about politics, and she's a pill too, man. She's got her own thing going on. But at some point, you want to have that talk before your mate reads something. They're like, what the hell? What is this all about? Because it's out there. Now there's this dual personality thing that happens on social media. You know what I'm talking about? Where you can actually be somebody that you really aren't, or you can say things that you want to say, but you're afraid to say to the person's face, but you can do it on social media.
Sure.
Because you can throw it out there and you.
Well, yeah.
Just gotta wait.
You're not even. And no one can hurt you.
Yeah. So I do think it's from a social media standpoint, I think it's really, really interesting in that, particularly from the story of this friend of mine last night, because it's not political at all. It's just all of a sudden she's starting to post some things.
Yeah, well, that's that to me, this one is harder to wrap your head around, the Conaway one, just because they're an extreme. They're an extreme couple. They're in extreme jobs, etc. But your friend, to me that's an interesting one. It's actually even more interesting. Because it begs the question, you know, you don't have to immediately assume that your wife is having an affair, but you do have to say, this is very uncharacteristic of you, right? So well, he's recognized it. He's like, what is she doing? Why is she doing that? And if it's very uncharacteristic of the person that you know, it is time for a conversation.
Yeah.
You don't let it, I mean, if you've been with somebody, when I started having more of a presence on social media and Instagram, my entire family who watched some of the stuff, they're like, "What's wrong with you?" This is exactly what all my family said. I'm like, "What? I'm doing my thing," and they're like, "You're so angry." You know, I'm like, I'm not angry.
Yeah.
I'm not angry. And all of my wife and my 2 kids were like, you're not representing you the way you are. We know what you're trying to do, but it's not
You had a little alter ego thing.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
And they brought it to my attention, fairly quickly. So for your friend,
Did you change?
Yeah, I did. It's hard, right? Because yes. I mean, I tried to take what they take what they said into consideration, and said, look, I'm not trying to be this person, but this is how I'm coming across, and so maybe I need to check it back a little bit. And that's what, to your friend, it may be the same thing. Maybe she is happy about the new change in her body or whatever, but maybe she doesn't realize the impact that it's having either on the people around her out there in social media or him. And I think that's the most important. My family wasn't, my family. They weren't like, you're embarrassing us.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, because when you're married, you're posting for 2.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Well,
you can have your own account. He can have his own account. I know a lot of people on Facebook, they have a dual account, which I think is...
That's weird.
I think it's kind of dangerous. There's a lot of people... If you have a profile picture of you and your husband, that's fine. Yeah. But when I'm Facebooking you or I see you posting, I'm assuming it's coming from both of you.
That's weird. I don't like that.
That's super
weird. That's weird.
I do like the unification of, hey, listen, we're posting together because we have the same beliefs in what we're doing. But if she's posting something, and it goes for guys too. I mean, we're probably seeing this a lot through politics. We saw this with the insurrection, where there were a lot of divorces that happened because of insurrection. Because their husbands were posting these pictures of breaking windows, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And they're like,
"I thought you were going to bowling night."
Yeah, this is not the man I married. What happened to you? And so she's saying, "This is not the man that I."
I think it's interesting.
We must protect our
because social media. Listen. Social media, and if you think it's interesting that you bring this up because you're doing the context.
And before anyone says anything, we change.
Right.
And this friend of mine was like, I don't get it because she doesn't even dress like this.
Well, then you need to have a conversation.
She wouldn't even let me she wouldn't even let me take a picture of her in her bikini last summer on
right.
vacation.
Well,
and
you
just
should ask her then.
And all of a sudden she's posting these pictures. And I'm kind of like, wait a minute, what's going on? And of course, he has spoken to her, and she got very defensive. And he's like,
how did he speak to her though?
He just said, "What are you doing? Why are you posting these pictures?" And she's like, "I'm proud of my body, and I've worked really hard." And a friend of mine said, "You should post that," and so I did, and I got a lot of followers, and I feel good about it. And I'm going to continue to do that. And he's kind of like, "Okay, all right. Well, this is a different side of you I've never seen before."
And yes, and I mean, I think that is it. We have talked endlessly. We've never had this kind of conversation. We've talked endlessly about us as individuals posting out there and the impact that it has and trolling people and saying nasty things and not getting in the fights. But we've always talked about it sort of in the context of what is the impact on you and how do you impact other people that you don't really know. Mm-hmm. This one is much more juicy because it allows, it's an entree into relationship dynamics and the fact that she is changing. Etman about you, that it is critical when something like this rears its head, and social media is a great place for it, but it can rear its head anywhere. Why were you acting like that at this party?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be social media. Mm-hmm. You have to take that, both sides have got to take that super carefully, because even saying why were you acting like that at this party it's probably not the best way to communicate. It's like, hey, you seemed different at this party. People are like, well, just say what it is. Don't just say what it is. Say it in the right way. You don't know why they were acting that way. You don't know why they are posting. So don't jump in on it. Say what you're really feeling, which is you're confused.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? And if you're the person on the other side, unless you're covering up something nasty, which there's definitely going to be a section of people that they're posting, like you said, they're not posting for themselves and for you. They're posting because of something else. But If you're frustrated in your relationship, if you feel like you're not getting enough attention, if you feel like in your life you're not getting enough attention, maybe it's not just in your relationship, but you feel like in your life you're not getting that validation, then when your partner who you're with asks you about it, it's okay to tell them. It's okay to say, hey, look, I'm doing this because I've never promoted my body. I've never been in a position, and again, I can tell you from my personal experience, my family has checked me back, not because the stuff I've done is inappropriate, but one of the things that my family has done is, hey, it's not the look that we know you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, there you go, and that's something that you'd expect from your family, and that's a good thing. I'm pleasantly, not pleasantly, I'm horribly surprised sometimes by going through my newsfeed and seeing posts from people that I know really, really well,
Right.
and I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yes.
Yes. And it could be something where they're crying. It could be something where they're distraught. It could be something where I just get off the phone with them and they're posting something that I think is a little out left field or off color, and I'm going, and I almost feel the need to call them and say, what was that? You know, because most of the people that you know, you'll like almost everything they post because you know them. You
Right.
know their heart, you know where they're coming from, you know, but in a lot of cases you're kind of like, where is this?
Well, and I think
coming
it's okay that it is okay, particularly if they're close to you,
Yeah.
to reach out and say something. I can tell you that I've
But
had
a lot of people post things. I mean, the minute you read something, you know they're trying to push buttons. And that's the one dangerous thing about social media is, are you posting things you truly believe? Or are you posting things you feel like you need to get off your chest? We don't have to post everything we feel. And certainly, we talk about drunk calling, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning. Don't drunk post. Don't do it. It never works out well. We always say, don't put your phone away. Wait till you know.
You know who's really,
And don't emotionally.
right.
If you're in a highly emotionally unstable situation, now's not the time to let the world know how you feel.
But it's so easy. You know why it's so easy?
Because there's so many people that are going to agree with you. And
and you know what? See, I think one thing is so cool about this. It's cool in an interesting way. If I'm feeling really strongly about something, or I'm in a really rough or uncomfortable emotional place, you would think the person and the people I should go to are the ones that are closest to me. I should call you up. Mm-hmm. I should talk to Jules. I should call my family. But that takes a level of emotional vulnerability and acknowledgement that I may not be able to get to.
Yep.
I may not be able to tell you, even though I'm suffering, it's hard because I got to look you in the eye, etc. This is where social media comes in.
Yeah.
Because on social media, it's somewhere between, it's a hybrid between journaling,
Yes,
you know, and telling people, but you don't have to look at them, which is not, psychologically, that's not a wimpy thing. It is, a lot of times, it's a safer thing. Now, I'm not saying it's healthy, but it's definitely safer than having to own up to your own feelings. Now, here's the problem. It's safer in the short run. It's less helpful for you in the long run.
Yeah.
Because putting it out there is not as emotionally connected as me telling you.
Yeah.
And me being willing to, even if you're my best friend in the world and I trust you, being able to look you in the eye and say this. And that's where I think people get caught up on social media, because it is this feeling of, oh, I've got it out there.
Yeah.
I've put it out, and my friends who are in my network will see it, and even if you're not thinking this way, you're feeling, it's not as bad. It doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah. True. One of our great sponsors, When in Rome with Stuart Rome. It's a show we do every Friday. It runs at 1 and 7 o'clock on Friday. And, of course, you can go to... The great thing about Spotify is if you go to Spotify and you search When in Rome with Stuart Rome, it gives you... He plays 5 or 6 songs. It gives you the songs so you can listen to the songs. You don't have to listen to the talk. We want you to.
Yes.
But you can listen to the track list. So when you go to Spotify, you can listen to the entire track list of the Damon Johnson Show, of Blues Almighty, of When in Rome, any show we have music associated with. You can look at the track list and see the music we're playing. I love it because I never know where Stuart Rome's going to go from the Woodhouse Day Spa. It's birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, 905-7676. 905-7676. By the way, Father's Day is coming up on June 19th. Take care of Daddy. He took care of you on Mama's Day. Take care of your daddy on June 19th. But you can see the track list, and I never know where he's going. Like, I'll see the songs he sends me, and then I'll go, and I'll try to put it together, and then by the time we do the show, and I'll be doing the show with him a little bit later on this morning. So check out When in Rome with Stuart Rome on Spotify. It's great. Listen to it on Tony Curry Radio, and go to birmingham.woodhousespas.com. All right, coming up about 20 minutes, we're going to be live on Fox 6. We'll talk more about the shootings in Uvalde. We're going to have about 4 or 5 minutes.
I have an angle that I think we can take that
Okay,
is
good.
not. There's nothing funny, but I got something.
All right, good.
Which is usually you got something.
Well,
You're really good about that.
You have the harder job here because as a psychologist.
Yeah, I can't be funny or like.
When you have a psychologist on after a major tragedy,
I'm not going to.
You're going to hear the old check it back, get therapy, count to 10, pray, meditate. Yeah, you're going to get the same points. Let's do something a little different.
I will tell you this though, because I've been watching and you watched. There are a gazillion therapists, psychologists, and the fact that we're all saying exactly the same thing is if you're struggling, like, this is what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So try to take this into consideration, because the things that we're suggesting that you do work, and the fact that it doesn't matter what political party you're affiliated with, what channel you watch, they've got us all on there, and we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases, depending on the amount of the tragedy, we all want to fix things. How am I going to get better? And I know people are tired of hearing this, but the whole "it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay," but it's never going to be okay soon enough.
Nope.
And that's the hard part. It's the whole saying "in God's time."
I don't like saying it's going to be okay. I know we say that. I know clergy says, we all say that. It is not, and maybe this is just the way I was trained, because as a psychologist, I'm not trained to give you a declarative statement, right? I'm trained to help you get to where you need to be. And so that wouldn't come out of me with a client. It's going to be okay.
Would you say you're going to get through this?
Yeah, I would say you're going to be able to get through this.
Yeah.
Because I believe, I know that. Scientifically, I know you're going to be able to get through this. But I don't focus on that. Because it's just what you said. I can tell you 1,000,000 times you're going to get through this. You can even believe, and most people believe that they're going to get through this, i.e. they're going to live, but they don't want to hear it because it doesn't match up with what they're feeling right now.
Right now, yeah.
So, and I think, again, it's okay to tell people you're going to get through this. It's okay to tell people you're going to be okay. But, that's not the best thing or the only thing that you should say. If you're going to say that, you can also say, and I'm going to be here right with you.
Yeah.
And if you say that, I'm telling you right now, and I've covered enough disasters, do not put your arm around somebody you know and say, I'm going to be with you, and then in 3 months, not take their call.
No doubt.
That is the worst thing you can do.
Because, it's like, I totally agree with you.
That is, otherwise, don't say it. Don't say it.
Because the 2 to 3 month period after a tragedy is normally the most influential.
When we see the biggest increases in depression.
You get all these phone calls, everyone's with you, I'm here anytime you want, and all of a sudden they're gone. And it's not their fault.
No.
I mean, they got their lives to live, and they assume since you're not reaching out to them that you must be okay. And you're not, because you've already had these discussions with people, you've already talked to them about the situation, you don't want to bug them.
Yep.
But that's where support groups come into play. All right, we'll be on Fox 6 talking about it coming up about 17 minutes right here on Tony Curry Radio. Download the Tony Curry Radio app. It's Curry with a K. Tony Curry Radio app on Android, Apple. It is free. Great class of rock and roll 24 hours a day. We have 11 different shows we do. We're working on a couple more shows that we're doing here on Tony Curry Radio. And make sure you go to Spotify and go back and listen to all of our podcasts. Spotify reached out to us. They're starting to put ads on our stuff, which is great because that means we're getting bazillion viewers and watchers. Is great. So check out Spotify and search Tony Curry Radio. We're good to go. Thanks for watching. Some more of the Curry and Klapow show here on Tony Curry Radio. Have a blessed day.